Hello there again, friends. This is Thom. Welcome to Growing Smart, the Stronghold podcast. Today we're talking about one of the most asked for, one of the most requested topics I get. I've avoided talking about it quite a bit on the podcast because there's so much to say about it. And I want to make sure I give this to you in a concise way that you can really use right here, right now. I think we can do that today. We're going to try. Today we're talking about coaching. So if you want to coach and help your team, even if you don't have a team, if you want to coach your peers, if you want to coach at home, I think you'll find today's broadcast helpful. So we're all about coaching today. Here we go. So as I'm recording this, I'm in my mobile office, otherwise known as my truck, driving across the bridge on a wintry Florida day, 61 degrees, which is coldish for Florida. It is clear, blue, beautiful. The water crossing the intercoastal here, not the intercoastal, I'm crossing Tampa Bay here. Just a beautiful, beautiful day, and it's just enjoyable. It's a good experience to be commuting today, even with a little bit of traffic or whatever. On my way to a day full of coaching. Now, I am not a business coach. Some people would call me that. I think of business coaching as being those small business entrepreneurial experts that understand every avenue of business, from accounting and bookkeeping and structure, and they sit down and kind of make sure your business is in order. I don't really do that. I am not a life coach. Those are the people that really sit down and make sure your life has harmony and balance, and you're, spiritually aligned. I don't know everything they do. I just know when I've looked at it before, it wasn't for me. I've been told I do life coaching with some people. I just call it work therapy. I've been told I do business coaching. I call it managerial or leadership coaching, maybe sales coaching. But I'm also not what's called an executive coach. People oftentimes refer to me as an executive coach. I've used that title before. An executive coach is typically someone who sits one-on-one with a CEO or a C-suite person or a business owner and really kind of gives them one-to-one advice on what to do, because it's kind of lonely at the top. I definitely sit with executives. I definitely coach them one-on-one. So why am I saying I'm not an executive coach? I do executive coaching in support of everything I do, but I am not a person that you cannot pay me. You cannot hire me today. I used to do it, but you cannot hire me today to coach you one-on-one. All right, I'm saying all that because it's going to apply to coaching here in a minute. I want to make sure I establish what kind of coach I am before you know who's giving you the advice on coaching. Have I done life coaching? I would say I probably have, yes. I've definitely done that in different contexts. Have I done business coaching to some degree? Absolutely. Have I done executive coaching? Yeah, and I do, again, in support of what I do. I do one-on-one coaching to reinforce other things. But I don't have someone that I have a relationship with today where I'm their coach and we just coach regularly one-on-one, and they're paying me just for that one service, and I'm not bringing them, their team, or their company any other layer, a level of consulting. Anywhere I'm doing coaching, there's other levels of consulting. With the exception of some real estate coaching I do some sales coaching. It's just sales coaching or broker coaching in real estate. That's one-on-one at the present. But all of my coaching is pretty much what I would call group coaching now. So what I do is have groups where I am an executive coach, I am a sales coach, I am a leadership coach, but instead of coaching one-on-one, I'm coaching groups so that they not only get the benefit of my coaching and training and consulting, but they also get the benefit of the group's feedback and accountability. And I find it to be very rewarding. So you get the benefit of executive coaching and a mastermind group and group coaching and training all at once. It's really great. If you're interested in that, head on over to strongholdtraining.com, click on what we do. It's a little drop down there, and click on group coaching. Actually, what's even better about group coaching is it's pretty much affordable to everyone. When I was doing straight executive coaching, my minimum price was $500 a month for 2 sessions, 2 45-minute sessions. Unless you were part of a group discount or something like that, like the real estate coaching folks get. It was pretty expensive for most people, and that's actually pretty low price compared to most executive coaches. So where the group coaching I have now is it's $149 a month, but the first month is only $49, kind of try before you buy, and even that's 100% refundable if you do it and you just hated it. So anyway, sorry to peddle group coaching there, but all of this is just to kind of introduce us to me as a group coach. So I've been coaching now, I feel like I've been coaching a long time, unofficially. I began coaching really one-on-one when I was in the military. That's where I really started working with, and maybe a little bit before I got into the military on a personal level, began coaching with some folks. But really in the military is where I started taking people under my wing, if you will, and kind of with my team, my work center, coaching there. And then when I became a property manager, I did sales coaching. And I just found that sitting with folks in regular one-on-one meetings and working with them really worked well for me. And as I did that more and more, I never had any formal training at that point. I started just kind of looking up resources of how I could be a better manager, and that's how I learned about coaching. And when I became a consultant, when I became a sales trainer, a leadership trainer, and started doing consulting, I would, as a part of the system, it was just the company I worked with, had us sit with the folks that we were training one-on-one. We didn't do a ton of that in the organization. We had intended to do more of that, but just we were so busy with all of our training contracts that we didn't do a ton of that. But when I came into the organization, I started doing a lot of it. And honestly, somewhat to my surprise, it became something very much in demand of me. The people I was coaching really wanted more coaching. And I kind of felt a little bit inadequate because I didn't have a ton of formal training. I had done it. I mean, we were having good experience with it, but I didn't have a ton of structure around it. So I really started learning more and more about different methods of coaching and things like that. And to be honest with you, all of that was helpful, but ultimately I really just kind of tweaked what I was already doing and kind of developed a bit of my own style of coaching. And as I've continued coaching and just got more experience on it, I would hope, and I've been told, I get better and better at it. And again, it's just been something that's highly in demand of me. And so I've spent some time passing on that ability to coach, the process I use, to other managers who have also found good results. But it's been hard. And this is why it's hard, because coaching is both an art and a science. So there are some absolute structural, like do this, don't do that, start this way, make sure you hit this process, this flow, end like this. There's some of those types of tactics with coaching that are very, very helpful, and most people don't know them. And so that's the science, that's the process of coaching, if you will, that I can give to you. But ultimately, the ability to coach is a little bit of an art too. So some of you are going to just be kind of natural born coaches, if you will. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what the makeup of that looks like and how you can cultivate that in yourself. So whether you're natural or not, how you can cultivate the art. And some of you are just not going to be that, but you can still do it successfully. Here's the first and most important point I really want to make sure we establish right here. Whether or not you're a great coach, whether or not I'm a great coach, the fact that coaching was in demand with me, and the fact that I can tell you with great confidence that coaching will be in demand with you is this: people want coaching. They just want it. They want it desperately. Most people really want to be coached. And so I could sit here and boast about my coaching all day long, but the fact of the matter is that I've got a willing audience. I've got a bunch of people that really want to be coached. So again, they give me a lot of grace in that. If I'm not the greatest coach in the world, but if I'm participating in the activity they want, they're kind of happy. Kind of think of it about your parents, right? Like, we could all look back and say, oh, we could have had better parents, or maybe some of you are like, man, I had the best parents ever. The fact of the matter is kids, no matter how much they may say otherwise, kids really want parents. They do. They want to have a good relationship with their parents. They want to be parented. They want mentoring. They want their parents to be an active part of their life. And it's the same with your employees when it comes to coaching. They really want you to coach them. Now, listen, I know there's probably a bunch of you right now listening to this going, oh, not my team. They don't like me, or not my team. They're not coachable. They don't want coaching. And my first question to you is, have you had a history of regularly and consistently, professionally coaching them? And is that the response you've gotten? If you're like, yep, I've been coaching, and that's the response I'm getting, I want you to keep listening to this podcast today and see if you really meet what I'm going to call coaching. If you meet the definition of coaching and you're being rigorously honest with yourself and you really have done it and you are not getting a good response, and yeah, maybe you don't have a coachable team, okay? They're out there. I get it. It's probably just a couple individuals at most. So you won't coach those people. But a lot of you are going to say, if you're being honest, all right, I've done something like coaching, but I haven't really coached. And I would encourage you, go try again with those people and give it some time. I cheat. I really cheat a bit in that when I show up, say, as the coach, as the expert. I'm also not their manager. And so sometimes folks open up to me quickly and give me the benefit of the doubt. And so I guess I do cheat a little bit. That said, to be honest, guys, the tactics I use, the technique I use for coaching really does aid that a lot. I sit down with plenty of people who don't trust me, who think I'm a mole sent there by the business owner to extract information. It's going to be used against them. Sometimes I sit with people who just want to leverage me to try to get a promotion. Sometimes I sit with people that are really worried or intimidated by the fact that I'm the quote-unquote expert. So it's not like it's all roses for me either. Coaching takes time. To build a trusting relationship with people takes time. And what is most important on the art of coaching is the heart of coaching. The art of coaching flows from the heart of coaching. And the heart of coaching is, number one, you really need to cultivate within yourself a desire to actually help people. And it's a pretty thankless job. A lot of us coach people, a lot of managers coach people because they just want those people to change for your sake. Like you want them to perform better so you can get better numbers. You want them to perform better so that they're not a pain in your butt anymore, so that they stop asking you so many questions. And I get that. And that's a reason to coach for sure. But it's not really the heart of coaching. The heart of coaching is actually to develop this person because you care about them and you want to see them better. Some people are naturally motivated that way, and I got a little bit of that. Okay, some people are just motivated to transform people. I'm not a better person because I have that. I don't know why I have that. Sometimes, honestly, it causes other issues in my life, But if you're motivated to see people develop, it really makes you feel good, then, man, you need to be coaching because you really have the natural gift. And you really have kind of that natural sauce, if you will. So you're going to be motivated to coach, and so you've got a gift, and the world deserves it to benefit from it. If you don't have that heart to coach, and you just really want the people to get the results and all that stuff, well, that's fine. Coach for those results. I just want you to remember that you're going to get a lot further, and it's going to be a lot less painful of a process if you try your best when you're there to really come to care about the person. And I'm going to tell you right now, just coaching people we'll bring that into you a little bit. You just by coaching people and seeing them respond and get better, you get a little bit of a love and affection for them. I mean, any guidance counselor, high school guidance counselor will tell you they don't like every kid, but once they start working with the kid and they see the kid getting better and stuff like that, they start to get an affection for them. You've probably experienced that at some point in your life. If you're a parent and things, you just, as you work and develop and you pour into people, you do start to care about them typically. They can frustrate you more too because you care more, but that's how it works. So cultivate the heart of coaching. If you want to cultivate the art of coaching, the first part of that is you have to find a way to care about the person, not just the results. The other thing I want to tell you right away is, don't give up on people too quickly. I've learned a huge lesson as a coach, and gosh, I wish I could give this to every disgruntled business owner I work with and every disgruntled manager I work with. Listen, I'm not a bleeding heart at all. I know when it's a lost cause, and I'm quick to say so. Or I'm quick to say it's going to take a lot of time to get somewhere. But I have learned one thing, and that's that people will absolutely amaze you. When you really pour into people and you think they're not going to develop or get very far, I have been blown away at the changes people have made very quickly. Sometimes I'm jealous of it. A lot of the people I coach that I think, maybe they're not smart enough, not capable enough to get somewhere, and then they just blow away my expectations. It humbles me because I'm like, man, I don't think I would have done that. They've really outperformed not only my expectations of them, but I think sometimes what I would do, and it takes away your arrogance and your pride. And you realize, man, people really, with some help, can get really far. I remember the day I learned this lesson. I was a volunteer at a middle school. I did some reading coaching. And man, if you just want to get outside your own head and your own problems, man, go volunteer in the public school system to be a reading coach or a math coach, whatever you're good at. I picked like first grade because I'm not real smart. So I was like, I think I could teach a first grader to read. I can't teach someone to read. That's the hardest thing in the world. But I could help someone who already can read a little bit to read better. I can do that. So I volunteered as a reading coach, a first grade reading coach. I used to go every Friday to this middle school and spend like just an hour or two. It's really not that much. And just kind of walk in, sit down. The teachers are overwhelmed. They got too many kids. And so they just can't give the time to the kids they want. So there was a little girl. I don't even remember her name. And I'd sit with her and just do some one-on-one reading tutoring. And I remember sitting with her and we would just read together, and I would let her fail and try harder. And I just encourage her to keep trying reading. And it just to have someone sitting there and saying, good job, keep going, try a little bit more, and not correct her constantly, just encourage her, is better than her trying to do that by herself. So it forced her to get better. And so she was getting a little better. She was getting stuck on a couple things, and I was seeing where she was getting stuck. And so I just gave her some help on how to get unstuck. And she did it. And now what I didn't tell you is that before this, the teacher had told me that they were going to hold her back a grade. They weren't going to let her go into second grade because her reading wasn't good enough. Well, after spending only about 15 minutes with her, and this isn't because I'm some dynamic reading coach or have some sort of magical ability, I just spent the time with her. She got what would qualify as good enough to go on to second grade. It absolutely amazed me. I mean, the whole system had given up on her. And I went back to the teacher and I said, listen, she's good now. You can test her. I think she's fine. I think you can go ahead and pass her on. And it absolutely broke my heart. And I'm sorry it's going to break yours too, but they said it's too late. I said, what do you mean? The decision's already been made. We're holding her back. It doesn't work like that. I can't just go and sign a paper and move her on. She's being held back. Okay, she had a good day today. That's great, but this is just kind of how it works. She's failed her testing. But I'm glad she's better. That's good. The important thing is that she learns to read, is what the teacher said. And I agreed with that. The important thing is she learns to read. But it just broke my heart. And I said, I got a little angry, just to be honest with you. I got a little frustrated with the teacher. It wasn't the teacher's fault, but I said to the teacher, I said, I'm not a magician, but I sat with her for 15 minutes and she got better. I said, it's a real shame she now has to spend another year when 15 minutes did it. And the teacher looked me right in the eyes and said, I completely understand that. And she said, as you can see, I do not have the opportunity to spend that type of quality time with every student or it would have happened. You're right. And I knew she was frustrated and that it wasn't her fault. But the fact of the matter is that just spending that 15 minutes of quality time was beneficial and made the difference in this little girl's life. And if we had just done it sooner, it would have made an even bigger difference. I'm sure she went on to be fine. But that said, also, the teacher pointed out something important. It is major sacrifice to sit down and invest in someone. And if you're looking at coaching, I'm just going to come right out and say it. Number one, you're going to transform lives. I don't care how good or bad you are at it. I'm not a dynamic reading coach. You're going to transform lives. And number two, it's going to take great sacrifice. And you're not going to be able to coach everybody. You're not going to be able to help everybody. You're not going to have the time you need for everybody. And that's another challenge because, I didn't have another hour or 15 minutes to go spend with every single kid in that class. There were other kids that I wasn't spending time with that maybe would have gotten better too. We can't coach everyone. So on one hand, you can't help the whole world. On the other hand, if you do make the sacrifice, the transformation is there. And this little girl who the world had given up on was able in just 15 minutes to develop just like the other kids. Now, not everyone you coach takes initiative. Not everyone you coach comes to it with the eagerness you and I want. And it's easy to say, I'm only going to coach the people that make it easy on me. And that's another thing I want to challenge right away in the heart of coaching is when you sit down with someone, no matter what your personal biases or opinions are, kind of set them aside and let the coaching process do the work. And man, I'm just telling you, I didn't come by that naturally. I would sit down with people and had already given up on them. And my pride and arrogance, I had already given up on them. And I have been amazed. The whole point of this is to say I've been amazed at how much people can develop. Now, that said, every dollar in business, every amount of time you spend is money. Every minute I spend with someone is money. So a lot of times people will ask me, Thom, if you coach so-and-so, will he or she get better? And a lot of times my answer is absolutely. But if you're going to coach them, you're going to have to spend probably 6 months to a year for them to get better. Now, they could amaze us, but I think the best they could do is say 6 months. I've got much better at evaluating this, or maybe a year. Is it worth spending that time? And a lot of times businesses say, I just don't have that type of cash to invest into getting this person where they need to be. I'd rather send them on somewhere else and find someone that doesn't require that investment. That's an understandable business decision. You're not a nonprofit. But I would say, again, people amaze you. So a lot of times what I say is, let me have 2 or 3 sessions with them and see what we can do. I oftentimes get asked, Thom, do you think you could coach this person to success before I've even sat with them? And my answer is always, well, maybe, but can I sit with them for an hour first and kind of assess it? Because it's not fair for me to say I can or can't do something until I've had a chance to see what these people are made of. And so that's just something to consider. And that's the heart of coaching. If I have any skills as a coach, it's probably just because I approach it with that mindset, and then I've got a little bit of the process too. The process is simple, guys. The main elements of the process of coaching is this. You need to consistently coach. When you sit down with someone, let them know you're not just going to meet with them one time, but try to develop at least a number of sessions. Try to give them 3, 5, 8 sessions, or tell them you're going to coach them every month for a period of time or for the duration of their employment. Let them know you're there for them long term. It's very, very powerful. Number 2, you got to let them know what their expectations are when they sit down with you, what coaching is and what coaching isn't. You got to let them know that they're safe. You got to spend some time setting the table and letting them know what the process is like, what's expected of them. Don't look for transformation in every single session, but try to find milestones, meaning identify the main things you want to accomplish over a period of time coaching. Give yourself time to do that. Remember, you've come to a place of expertise that they may not have come to. It takes some time to develop. So set the milestones, give yourself plenty of time to get there, set baby steps between the milestones, write these things down, and then give them action steps towards the milestones after every session. Don't just sit down and have one-off group, therapy sessions with them. What do you want to talk about? How can I help you? And just consult. Sometimes you're going to have that, but always identify milestones, be working towards those milestones, giving them baby steps to get there, and making sure that they are following up on those action steps. Always encourage, but also be direct. Have radical candor. Don't have ruinous empathy. Let them know if they're falling short or where they're not necessarily falling short, but let them know where they're at. Don't falsely encourage them or glibly encourage them. All right, that's all the time we have today. Again, we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. I got a whole coaching guide on this. If you go to strongholdtraining.com and click on the free resources, I've got a coaching guide there for leaders. It's a series of messages, talks I've given, just transcribed. Helps you go through a lot of this. That's like, if you can't wait till the next podcast, check that out. But I really wanted to explain to you a little difference between the art and the science of coaching to kind of get us started on this topic. We're going to have a lot more podcasts on this topic, but I got to get to coaching. So I'm going to let you guys go, and I'll see you on the next Growing Smart. Thanks so much.